The greed and the recklessness that we have seen from people like Donald Trump and Carl Icahn. Oh, you know Donald Trump. Oh, I get it. You don't think he is a brilliant, successful businessman who can bring the kind of prosperity to America that he has brought here to Atlantic City. Is that your point?
Spoiler alert, there is no love here for Donald Trump. In fact, Democrats hope to hold up Atlantic City as the kind of wreckage Trump leaves in his wake. That will be useful, they hope, in the general election because Trump's route to the Republican nomination is now unimpeded. And while the enthusiasm for Sanders here is high, he's trailing Clinton among Democratic voters almost 2-1.
Senator Sanders has a path to victory, and depending on which poll you'd like to choose, Senator Sanders is closing in on Secretary Clinton.
In order for Bernie Sanders to get enough pledged delegates to even go into the convention and make an argument that he should get some more super delegates, he'd have to get something like 80%, 85% of the vote in every primary from here until June 7th, and that's just not going to happen.
While that might not yet be settled business, the Garden State loves to speculate, and with two Jersey guys playing big roles in the frontrunners' campaigns, could they be potential VP picks? Well, Trump said today Christie would lead his transition team, which might put him out of the running for VP. And Booker?
Democratic voters here in New Jersey, when we asked them about Cory Booker for Hillary Clinton, about half say he wouldn't affect her either way. A third say he would actually help the ticket, and only 10% say he would hurt the ticket.
But Sanders says, don't get ahead of yourselves just yet.
It is an uphill fight, but I have been used to uphill fights my entire life. And I want you all to know that this campaign will fight for every remaining vote in every remaining state.
Senator Sanders today, Senator Clinton later in the week, and next week, Donald Trump. It may not be New Hampshire in July, but this is the most primary election action New Jersey has seen in decades. In Atlantic City, I'm David Cruz, NJTV News.
New Jersey counties played a leading role in National Operation Take Back Day. That tops tonight's Garden State Express. Our first stop, Morristown, one of 4 locations where more than half of the 1,365 pounds of unused, unwanted, or expired prescription drugs turned into law enforcement countywide were collected. 726 pounds of medication was dropped at Morristown, Morris Plains, Mountain Lakes, and Randolph locations. No questions asked. The goal of Operation Take Back is to keep old drugs and controlled substances from getting into the wrong hands or leaching into the groundwaters. Police have collected the cash and will dispose of the medicine safely and swiftly. Next to Toms River, cheering on Swift hometown sailing technician Andrew Campbell aboard Team USA's AC-45F class catamaran in the first America's Cup trial held in New York Harbor since 1920. Saturday's lack of wind left the boats becalmed, but Sunday's race was a barn burner. 6 boats vied for the right to compete against defending champion Team USA in the America's Cup next year. Emirates Team New Zealand had a rough start, hooked to a buoy with a punctured hull, but it went from dead in the water to stealing victory, edging out Team USA for the win. The series heads next to Chicago, where it's always windy. Finally, Jersey City, where getting air was the goal in the Pogo Palooza Am Jam East Pogo competition. Extreme Pogo is, we're told, catching fire with the X Games generation. 14 to 23-year-olds tried to out-jump and out-trick each other in 3 trying categories. High jump, the winner cleared 7.5 feet. A freestyle round, like freestyle skiing, but different. And a game of horse, only they spell it P-O-G-O. The winner gets an all-expenses-paid trip to the World Championship this July in Swissvale, Pennsylvania. Organizers say the sport could easily grow in popularity to rival scooter, parkour, or even slacklining. Imagine! And that's our Garden State Express for Monday, May 9th. Something up in your town? Tip us off.
Support for the Environment Report provided by PSE&G, making things more sustainable for New Jersey.
6 years ago, under pressure to clear the air of poisons, the Port Authority launched a plan to replace old trucks traveling through Newark's Ironbound to Port Newark. In 6 years, just 400 trucks were traded, and now the program's lapsed. We asked Michael Hill to find out why.
2-year-old Noah's first speech therapy session. His mother says it's the result of his congestion distorting his hearing and his speech.
Do you think it has anything to do with all the truck traffic and the emissions in the area going to the port?
Oh, I absolutely attribute it to all that. I have 3 other children who are a little bit older, and all of them have that.
Medina says her family's among the many who suffered for generations in Newark's Ironbound section from the diesel exhaust of trucks idling on their streets and going to and from the nearby Port of Newark, the busiest port on the East Coast. Advocates say it's a big contributor to 1 in 4 Newark children suffering from asthma, a rate 3 times the state average.
More people in Newark die of pollution-related illnesses than they do of gunshot wounds.
Dr. Ana Baptista is a member of the Healthy Ports Coalition and upset at the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey for reneging on millions of dollars to help replace pre-2007 trucks, the ones emitting 90% more diesel particulate than newer trucks meeting updated standards. Antonio Gochi's 1997 truck stays on the road. The program could loan him $20,000 to $30,000. He says a new rig costs $50,000 to $60,000. Is that affordable at all?
Not really.
The Teamsters want to be part of the solution.
We want to see a solution that's not based on the backs of the workers.
In a statement, the Port Authority says it was clear that sufficient funds were not available to meet the needs of the program as outlined. The Ironbound Community Corporation and coalition members condemned the move.
How can you put a cost on people's health? You get $1 billion project like the raising of the Bayonne Bridge, and you can't find a couple of $1 million in that project in order to do truck replacement.
It's really smacks of injustice.
Yeah, I think it's a lack of prioritization and understanding and willing to put policy and funds where your mouths are.
In a statement, the EPA says it's disappointed by the Port Authority's recent decision to eliminate the ban on truck models that are 2006 and older and urges the authority to reconsider. The question now for the people, the port, and the program is how to move forward. The Port Authority says while it seeks new funding for truck replacement, it is not likely that it will be releasing another mandatory truck phase-out plan in the near future.
We need to just wake up as a community, get together, and then hold these folks accountable.
Advocates say in the meantime, the air quality in Ironbound will continue to fail national standards, putting residents' lives at risk. In Newark, Michael Hill, NJTV News.
In Camden, they're putting people to work. A $290 million technology campus is rising on the riverbanks, courtesy of huge tax breaks granted by the Economic Development Authority to keep Holtec here. And with Holtec's new jobs come old questions about whether the tax incentives will pay off. Brianna Vernozzi reports.
This time next year, Holtec will hire 300 to 400 people, and they'll be working on this facility. And we'll have about 1,000 people here working by the end of the decade.
It's a big promise from the technology company. It designs, manufactures, and installs equipment mainly for the nuclear power industry. About 200 construction workers are on site any given day. Roughly 35 are Camden residents.
We're working with the local Board of Education, and we've also worked with Camden County College to put curriculums in place so when these students graduate, they can come to Holtec at different skill levels and join our apprenticeship program that we're going to have. So our goal is to grow world-class fabricators from the local community and have them work in Holtec.
Once it's complete, the Holtec manufacturing campus will house 3 main buildings with more than 600,000 square feet of space on this former shipyard site.
So the first major phase that Holtec is going to be needing, they're going to be needing folks who are able to weld. So what we've done is we held 2 like mini job fairs, if you will, for welders.
Holtec received a $260 million tax incentive from the state to relocate here. The company gets the money after it's up and running, with new jobs and new taxes generated. They've pledged to hire locally, and the firm is working with the County One Stop Center to make it happen.
for years and years and years, there's been a lot of, big announcements and big things that are going on. So, there is some skepticism that's going around right now. But right now, if you look around, it's happening. It's real.
Usually, jobs are like two hours away. Working in Newark sometime, Atlantic City. This is right around the corner, right in my backyard. Been waiting for this all my life, you know what I mean? It's finally here.
But there are still the naysayers, those who question the return on investment for this third largest tax break given to date.
It's choosing winners and losers in the marketplace. We've also found that it's been a really bad return on investment. And the other thing is Main Street, New Jersey, they don't get these types of politically connected incentives.
I think all you have to do is walk around site and look at the investment that we're making and the number of jobs that we're going to create, and that it's real.
If all goes according to plan, the future of Holtec will lie in the production for a small modular reactor, and that could mean thousands of jobs.
One great thing about Camden, have a lot of infrastructure, have the rail lines close, and we're going to have a rail line that actually comes into the building to bring the raw material in, and it will also allow us to bring the finished product out.
Every day I see a change in my neighborhood, especially when I come home and they see me, another positive example, working, and they want to be a part of it. So the neighborhood is happy, and it's hopeful. It's hope. It's hope.
In Camden, I'm Brianna Venozzi, NJTV News.
Support for the Business Report is provided by New Jersey Sharing Network, saving lives through organ and tissue donation in New Jersey. Online at njsharingnetwork.org.
Have you ever wondered what it takes to reach the top? Ask a Jersey girl, a four-time Olympian, captain of Team USA, with a legendary 24-year elite career as a half-mile distance runner who set world records and smashed American records and ranked in the top 10 athletes in the world for nearly a decade, someone who's been inducted into the USA Track and Field Hall of Fame and the New Jersey Hall of Fame. Ask New Jersey's own Joetta Clark-Diggs. Thank you for being here. I don't want to overbill you or anything, but oh my word. We learn as little girls never to take no for an answer when it comes to achieving our dreams, but that is easier said than done, isn't it?
It was, especially when I grew up in the 60s, being out there with a woman trying to find her way. But I learned to turn those no's into slow yeses. And so my parents always said that. So, as a kid, people say you can't do that, you can't do that. And I always say, give me a slow yes instead of a fast no.
You had a famous father, the famous Principal Joe Clark, who Morgan Freeman played in the movie Lean on Me. Did having a famous parent make you feel as though you had an obligation to achieve fame yourself?
Well, my father didn't become famous until I was in college, so he was just dad and mom. I had really two tough, stern, loving parents, and so we weren't going to fail them. Whatever they said to do, we pretty much did. We didn't talk back then, and so it was a different time.
And your brother was your coach?
My brother coached me as an adult. So I was the older sister, the younger brother, and I have another sister who made the Olympic team, who was 15 years younger. And I always told him to cheer for me because I took up for him when he was a little kid.
Now, you say in your book that you always wanted to be famous as a little girl. Yes. But you looked at magazine covers and nobody was looking like you.
Right. That was kind of troubling because I didn't have a role model as a model to look at. But I figured I could be a model, but they had to figure out the look that I had was a look that people wanted to see. So I didn't become a model until I was 32. And it was a perfect time for me because I think had I been a model when I was